We modded a Fire Stick, and you guys loved it. We bought an 8BitDo controller, and you guys loved it. We played some classic video games, and you guys loved it. So today, we're going to learn how to play some classic video games on the Fire Stick with an 8BitDo controller. Since we don't have the Play Store on our Amazon Fire TV stick, we're going to sideload the Retroarch app using an APK file. This is my preferred method of installing apps anyway, so to do this, we're going to go ahead and open a web browser. We're going to navigate to retroarch.com, and in my case it's right there, so I'm just going to click it. There we go. We're going to go to Get RetroArch. Now you can scroll down to Android, but you can also press Control F, and this allows you to find anything on the page. You can search the whole web page just like it's Google, so I'm just going to type in Android. It's right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click this download link right here, the one that doesn't say 64-bit or 32-bit. This one should work regardless of which architecture I'm using, so I'm going to do that. And as you can see, it's just downloaded retroarch.apk. If you followed my video on modding the Fire Stick, you may remember how to open an ADB connection. If you do, go ahead and do so now. If you don't, just click on this card, follow the instructions, then come back to this video and we'll pick up where we left off. So now that I've got the ADB set up with my Fire Stick, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and install the APK that we just downloaded. In my case, it's in my downloads directory, so notice how it says this PC downloads here at the top. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to right click, copy address, and over in the command prompt window, I'm going to type in adb.exe space install space quotation mark. And I'm going to right click, and then I'm going to go ahead and right click on the APK file, rename, press Control A to make sure everything here is selected, Control C, which copies it, back to the command line window, right click, close quotation marks, and press Enter. Okay, and I skipped over most of that because it was boring. It did take a couple minutes, but with such a complex application as RetroArch, that is not unusual. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make a directory on the Fire Stick for my ROMs. This is always good practice because, again, you don't want RetroArch mixing up your Nintendo 64 ROMs with your SNES ROMs or your downloads for that matter. So I'm going to go ahead and type in adb.exe space shell space mkdir, which stands for make directory, space / SD card / ROMs. We're going to hit enter. And now we're going to create a folder within that folder for our Nintendo 64 ROM specifically. So adb.exe, actually, hang on, we're going to hit the up arrow, and we're just going to add /in64, enter. There we go. And so now what we're going to do is we are going to push a ROM file. I'm not going to push my whole collection because that would take a very long time, and I probably don't have enough storage on my Fire Stick to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just push the one for Mario Kart 64. To do that, I'm going to right click, just like we tried to do before, copy address as text. This time it should actually work. adb.exe space push, that's how I push a file, space quotation mark, right click to paste, and I'm going to put a /, then I'm going to right click the ROM file, rename, Control A, Control C, go back to my command prompt window, right click, and quotation marks, space, and now we're going to type in the name of the directory we created on our Fire Stick. So it's going to be /SD card /ROMS /N64 and press enter. And of course, if that doesn't work, check for any misspellings, because spelling correctly is important here. But in our case, it most definitely worked. So the hard part is over. Now all we need to do is set up RetroArch on our Fire TV stick. Okay, so now I've got the Amazon Fire TV stick connected to my TV. I'm using the USB port on the side of my TV for power, but you can always plug it into the wall if you prefer. I'm going to use the included remote to go to the gear icon, go to Applications, and I'm going to add the RetroArch app to TV Applications. That way we'll be able to access it more easily. And next we're going to hook up the controller. So I'm going to go to Android Settings, go to Controllers and Bluetooth Devices, I would say Game Controllers, Add New, and on the 8BitDo 02, I'm going to press Start to turn it on, and I'm going to press and hold Select for 3 seconds. Okay, and we've got 8BitDo 02 gamepad on the remote. Going to select it, and there we go. And next I'm going to go ahead and turn the Wi-Fi on by going to Network, going to connect to my Wi-Fi. Now I'm going to go all the way back out. Now we're going to use the 8BitDo controller to go over to RetroArch. There we go. So now I'm going to go to the Online Updater, Core Downloader, and I'm going to scroll way down until I see Nintendo 64. And I'm actually going to install Parallel N64. I'm going to go back again. And now I'm going to go over to Import Content. Scan Directory. Storage emulated 0. ROMs. Nintendo 64. Scan this directory. There we go. And it shouldn't take too long because there's only one file in there. There we go. So now I'm going to go back a couple times. I'm going to go to the Online Updater again. Playlist Thumbnails Updater, Nintendo 64, and it shouldn't take too long because we only have one. There we go. And I'm going to turn on-demand thumbnail downloads off because this is seriously impacting our performance here. Yep, there we go. And one other thing we need to do here is we need to go ahead and change a couple things in our controller settings because our controller does not have an analog stick. And we need to use an analog stick to steer because we cannot use the D-pad to steer in Mario Kart 64. It won't let us do that. So we're going to need to go to Settings, Input, RetroPad Binds, Port 1 controls, And we're going to go to D-pad up, and I'm going to press the Y button to clear it. And now for the left analog up, I'm going to press OK. Press up. Now for the analog down, I'm going to press OK, press down, analog left, left, analog right, right. There you go. I believe we also need to map the Z button. Oh yeah, no, we don't need to do that because it takes care of that for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back. Going to go down here to Nintendo 64. And we're ready to play Mario Kart 64. So why did I do all this? Well, I did it for the same reason I made this YouTube channel. I enjoy brightening people's lives through technology. Video games provide a temporary escape from a person's real life. A person who struggles with boredom might prefer a fast-paced, action-packed gaming experience. By contrast, someone who struggles with stress might prefer a more casual, light-hearted gaming experience. And someone who is over-sexualized on a frequent basis, like, say, an adult entertainer, may prefer a more wholesome gaming experience, with familiar characters they recognize from childhood. Armed with this knowledge, technical skill, and a big heart, I got Mario Kart 64 working on a streaming stick. I paired up 3 8BitDo 02 controllers, replaced the pack-in charger and cord with smaller versions of each, shoved it all into my pockets, and snuck it into a local club. This club had a big screen TV in one of its back rooms, so I just plugged it in and we were off to the races. I stopped going to that club because it wasn't safe, and unfortunately I learned that the hard way. Fortunately, I've heard that quite a few of the entertainers I've met there have made smooth transitions to less toxic places.